See how this goes down. Good morning. Whew. Welcome to another edition of the Brothers of Legacy. I am your hostess with the mostest, the man with the plan, A.D. Walker, the pusher, the grower, the motivator. As you can see, I am rocking all alone. Put this in. All right, let's go. Let's get it. Good morning. Good morning. Sharing is caring. Sharing is caring. Make sure you share. There we go. All right, there we go. Listen. Listen. All right. Good morning. Blessings, Lisa. Thank you for sharing. Thank you for sharing. I appreciate you. Greetings, Mama McCory. Thank you for rocking with us as well. So, to all my people, my Twitch people, we just switched over from Periscope to Twitch. So we should have some Twitch people coming in. If you don't know what Twitch is, it's another platform, mostly for gaming. But in recent year or years, it's been a more of a social platform. Um, so there is an audience out there that isn't just watching gaming in the Twitch world. What's up, D? Great morning to you,
What
my
up?
brother.
What up?
Let's see. Do
Blessing
this.
Lisa, Mama McCory.
Do this.
My audio good, bro?
So listen, you know what time it is. It's time to share. Sharing is caring. Make sure you tag somebody in the broadcast if you're in Facebook land so you can be a part and join our community. I just text my people the broadcast, and we got some other things we're going to be sharing through the text. So go to 845, text brothers to 84576. My podcast people, definitely text brothers to 84576 because I would love to see you here live in our broadcast when we do the broadcast. And I appreciate you rocking in the uh, audio good. No, mine. That is, I don't hear you yet, my brother. Um,
Oh wow.
let's see. Yes, it's silent. You are silent. Let's see. So, boom, 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 boom. All right. So make sure you share. This is your opportunity to share. Sorry about that. Got a little quiet. Gotta focus. Focus. Victims, perpetrators, or opportunists. There you go.
What about
Nope.
now?
Nothing.
Nothing.
Zero. Zippo. Nothing. All right. Let's save that. And we have a guest, a new cousin in the building. Jay Hamilton in the
What's
building.
going on,
And
man? Good to see y'all,
oh,
boys. Good to see y'all.
I don't hear you. Okay, so wait, hold on.
It might be
It
your
may be me
end.
because I don't hear Jay Hamilton either.
Oh,
Hold on.
Hey Jay,
Hold
you can
tight.
hear me
Hold
though,
tight. Maybe
right?
it's just me.
yeah, I hear
It
you.
might be
Okay,
me.
I hear him.
Just do
He
this.
doesn't hear us.
There we
Ah,
go.
Okay.
Aha. I hear you now. I hear you now.
Okay.
Just
I
me in the
think I got to
settings.
go back and add my mic back because I thought I did something wrong.
Oh. All right. So now you're good. You guys are good. So yeah, this is gonna be an awesome conversation. Oh yeah. Oh, so make sure you text brothers to 84576. Get a part of this community as we make changes and really push a movement. Starting with these conversations. So today we're talking about, are we victims, perpetrators, or opportunists? All
mm.
right. So let that sit, let that marinate in your spirit, and hold on, un momento, por favor, and we'll be right back. I didn't want to catch
Good
that.
morning,
First.
good morning, good morning, good morning.
Welcome to another
I'll be right back.
Good morning, good morning, good morning, good morning. What's up, everybody?
All right. I did not one bit of sharing. Hold on, un momento. Let's see. Oh yeah, because I'm not there anymore.
Un
All
momento, por
right.
favor.
Un momento, por favor. All
That's
right.
all I know.
Oh man. All right,
That's
listen.
right.
I'm sorry. All right,
Okay.
so
Mr.
All right,
Hamilton got on his deposition. He got on his deposition white tee today.
Oh no.
Yes, sir.
No, this is the first of many Zoom calls for today. So I just wanted to be, ready.
Ready, right.
Right.
It's like no need to keep changing. Just be ready. Just be ready. All right. So yesterday we've been talking about the oppressor and who is oppressing us. And some speak about the man, the great conspiracy. And for me, I'm of a mindset that I believe there was, in part, mostly like the FBI, one agency, and maybe CIA, connected. And I'm not going to say they are obsolete. They're not active now. What's up, Cole? But I will say, I don't feel like, at least now, their hand isn't putting the pressure like it was, if that makes sense. I don't, maybe because we're not as much of a threat, because it seemed like now, if you look on the face of it, face value, it seemed like they're singing the Kumbaya praise, Black Lives Matters on the street, like there's more of a, we love you guys, we love you, companies are now like, yeah, we love you. We love Black people, so yeah, right. Listen. And there's no question that it's all about buying and stuff. Like it's no question like, oh no, don't stop shopping here. I've right. And I've said it before. I think this go around, there were blacks in the boardroom like, yo, you cannot sit on the fence on this. It's like you're gonna have to pick a side because they're gonna leave you eventually. Like we're gonna, you're gonna mess around and LeBron is gonna start brands and stores and you're gonna lose people instantly. So there's like, okay, we're gonna jump on their side. Finally say something.
Right.
So I feel like they were they had to pick a side.
But
so
are they really picking sides?
At least outwardly.
They're picking money.
Yeah. But if you really think about it, I mean, okay, and we're gonna dig into the victims, perpetrators, and opportunists, but it kind of fits into this context. But it's always been about money. Jackie Robinson didn't get picked because someone was trying to break a color barrier. It was about money, and the dude, they were trying to get somebody better. They were trying to build a better team, and he was trying to get seen, and they were trying to, get noticed, and it wasn't about trying to break a color barrier. They didn't free us because they were like, yo, guys, we're going to let you go free. No, they chose us because we're losing this war. So we need y'all to help fight this war. And we use it as leverage.
They profit off of that last ditch effort.
Right. It's a leverage thing. And to me, I think a lot of our fight needs to be about leverage. You know what I'm saying? Not about you being my homeboy, being on my side. I believe it's about leverage. I don't, like going to politicians to make change is like, I know you don't care about me, but you want that job. So you do what I need and I give you what you need. I think it's a leverage thing and not a friendship thing. You understand what I'm saying? So when they do something crazy or you hear them say something crazy, like I already knew it was there, but they're helping the community because they want my vote. Does it make sense?
I hear what you're saying. I think so. There's a thin line between leverage and exploitation, right? Like, that's a thin line.
Oh, that's good. That's good.
And so my point to this will only be that it's hard to get leverage when you are only 13% of the populace, right? There's a reason why like Republican politicians cater to white people because it's easy. You don't have to think about diverse opinions. You don't have to think about anything except economy and America first. That's all you got to say, and you in there, right? That's it. For everybody else, it's like you have to build a coalition, like a rainbow coalition of people who come from different walks of life and may not even understand or agree with one another. And the problem is, as far as our history goes with Black people, it's like we're always used more in an exploitative fashion for everybody else's benefit than it is for anything that directly helps us. So
101.
Yes. Yes. So I wanted to get into this point, and this kind of goes with the theme of the show and a little throwback to yesterday.
Yes.
I love the show. I was watching the replay yesterday.
All right.
They were talking about the hip hop show on FX.
Yes.
Right.
Yes.
And I was thinking to myself, and I know it's not going to be a popular opinion, but for a second, I want to ride for the criminals for a second. Okay. What I'll say is this: I grew up in that era. When you look back and you think about all the great ideas that people tell you to do to improve your community, they say start a business. They say go to school. What does it take to start a business and go to school?
Capital.
Money, right?
Money. Yes,
were banks giving black people money in the 70s and 80s?
Money.
Right.
No. Who was giving black people money? The drug dealers, right?
Right. I'm with
and you have to remember this. We built an industry out of this. Like this is an international thing. Hip hop is not just localized to the Bronx or even LA. Now it's everywhere. You can go to Japan and people rapping, right? Like it's everywhere. So they did something good to create a culture for America. But the other thing I want to go back to is just the history of criminology in America anyway. So take this for example. When America first started, the first crime that a black person committed was freeing themselves, right? If you ran from the person who owned you, if you got caught reading a book, right? If you did anything to free yourself, you were the criminal. Yet America stole you, they trafficked you, they did whatever they wanted to you, they stole the land from Native Americans, they stole everything, and that's not a crime. That's not a crime. That's just part of their imperialism and their colonialization, right? So when you look at it through that lens, it's almost as if to be born black and want to succeed is the crime, right? They want you to believe that you always have to play within their system and their rules. And the thing that I do admire about those people who were in that hip hop show is they didn't play by America's rules. They were like, no, I'm not going to do that. I'm going to do what I want to do. Did it come with a cost? Absolutely. Right? Absolutely. But they said, I'm going to do what I'm going to do. And the thing I love even more about it is almost every one of them got rich off of something that America sent to us for our detriment. Right? So if America ships cocaine to you, right, and they say, kill yourself, and you flip it and become Andrew Carnegie, and now you financing businesses, laundromats, all this stuff for the neighborhood. Well, you know what? The alternative was death, right? That's the alternative. So their thing is somebody's going to push this powder one way or another, right? Why not me? Why not me? Okay. The other thing I'll say is they have Big U on there, and Big U talks about kind of the globalization of Crips. Now,
franchising,
yes. Now, for those of you all who remember, Crips is actually an offshoot of several different Black Power movements in the 70s, right? The idea of Crip, CRIP, Community Revolution in Progress, it was a group of people standing against police brutality. So the whole concept was, yes, did it get altered? Did the drug game come up and change it? Did gangs change it and go in a different direction? Absolutely. But I also think we have to look at the source of where all this stuff started. It didn't start because it was just some kids that decided they wanted to go beat people up. It started because police were coming into the community, beating everybody, killing everybody, similar to what's going on now. And they wanted a community response for what was going to happen. And somebody said, I'm not taking it anymore. Right. So I think the influence for those government agencies and entities that we look at is always to turn a community against the person who is doing what the government was doing in the first place, right? So the government says, if I can't victimize you, nobody can victimize you. You are mine. And I think that's the problem. So we have developed these ways of trying to cope as Black people in America. But the sad part is in America, the best you do is cope. The best you do is cope. Even if you're successful, you're not involved in criminal activity, you've got your business or you got a good job and you're taking care of your kids. Everybody know, everybody on this call know, when that light come on, whoop, whoop, and you're driving, it's you better tend into it. You know what I'm saying? Like we know.
Even in uniform, I felt that same exact feeling. And like you said, I mean, I know that so quick story.
All right.
I used to be affiliated I ain't gonna say what, but you probably see what my favorite color is sometimes, right?
All right.
And I know that when I was affiliated, it wasn't what it was originally created for. Because originally it was brotherly love over our destruction.
Wow.
And just like community revolution in progress, the things that we often do to better ourselves are the things that ends up having the biggest target.
Right.
Yep. And then throw some money in there and influence. It don't take much. If you can take a 17-year-old kid and make him rich and give him access to the people that he didn't think he could access before, give him access to the women he didn't think he could access before, give him access to all kinds of business ventures he didn't think he could access before. Then everybody's gonna envy the kid. They're not gonna say, oh, America has all these opportunities that we can do. They're gonna say, no, I want what he got, right? And that's how you create the division. They send somebody over here, I think Judas and the Black Messiah.
Yes.
The movie shows about Bill O'Neill. And one of the things that I don't like about the movie, I love the movie, but one of the things I don't like is people are quick to write off Bill O'Neill, but people don't remember Bill O'Neill was 16 years old when they came and talked to him. So we're not talking about a grown man who knew how to think situations through. We're talking about somebody who was caught red-handed in a crime, and the government was like, you can go to jail, or I can take care of you. You can go eat at the fancy restaurants with me. You can be rich.
I mean, I'm with you because they did he swooned him. He took him to, he almost felt like he was cool. And we all watched like, you ain't cool. You just, you're being exploited. You're being exploited.
And speaking of victims and perpetrators, this is how pedophiles get their prey.
Right.
Because they're not mature enough to understand what's going on or see the bigger picture. So, we get mine. We get mine messed with a lot. I was trying to find another adjective, another verb.
But that's my point. I was like, as long as they can keep a certain percentage of us impoverished, then money is always going to be the influence, right? Who doesn't want to buy their mama a house, right? Who doesn't want their mom to be able to move out of a bad neighborhood? They don't worry about those issues because they don't have those issues, but they know we do, right? So they'll come in and they'll be like, okay, and that's why you see us getting exploited. Like when we go play, if you get a college scholarship, everybody thinks you're the hero till you get to the college and you can't take the classes because you're so busy on the field, right? That's the thing. It's all exploitation of blackness as opposed to our ability to own. So where I agree with everyone who says we need to build up our own stuff, I definitely think that as a community, if we invest in ourselves so that we can wean ourselves off of our reliance on those systems, we are in a better spot. But at the same time, I want people to understand that Black people, even here in 2021, what we are doing is defying obstacles that are bigger than any other community of people have ever faced before. We are still here. We still are taking care of our families. We still are being positive for the most part. And we are trying to do the best we can. And I think as long as we operate in that and understand that we're building and not trying to recreate the wheel every 2 seconds, then I think we'll get there. And I think, the last thing I'll say, because I know I talk a lot. The last thing I'll say is,
I was trying to let you get all your points out because I know you can't stay too long.
Yeah, the last thing I'll say is I think people oftentimes want to separate Black issues from the Black consumer base. And what I mean by that is there's a reason why things like the Back to Africa movement were thwarted. There's a reason for that, right? Black people buy the product in this country. Black people largely make the product in this country. And if we all ever got on boats and really did leave and go back to Africa, where all the resources are to be wildly successful, right? And we took our skills and ingenuity and did that, America would crumble because all they have is the currency of racism and policy. It's all they have. So I want people to understand we are more powerful than what we oftentimes want to believe. And if we look and see who's spending and why they're catering to you. You brought up the fact that the advertisers are like, Black Lives Matter, whatever.
Right.
Meanwhile, the boardroom got the one black dude in it, right? Diversity matters, but diversity amongst white people, right?
Right.
So my thing is, as long as we see the games and we understand how this works, it's on us to mobilize our black dollar and mobilize our political passions to be unified. And unfortunately, we don't have the luxury of being able to be stratified across political lines. We're only 13% of the population. So the more divided we are, the less our voice matters.
Okay. So going back to, I get what you're saying as far as the setup, kind of like we didn't have, if someone's offering you an opportunity to go from here to here, like take a huge jump, and of course there's risk involved, but I could just stay here at this minimum spot. Why wouldn't you take it? I'm with you on that. Mm-hmm. But when you get to the point where you can franchise and mobilize, and I get what the original idea of the Crips, and I'm sure there was a point like, well, we need funding, and I'm sure it started in good faith, and no one knew how drugs would destroy a community. It's just like, if you've been smoking weed, you're like, well, this is just like weed, but no one realized you start smoking crack, you need crack, I need crack, and I start stealing, like it was going to destroy somebody through it. And I understand, because we didn't see that, we didn't really know that there was a history, but it wasn't much of a history that we can see. Like, of course, now, if something came into our community, we're like, nah, chief, we're not going through that again, so we know it now. But knowing that it was destroying the community at a certain point, the guy was like, yeah, I could start seeing my neighborhood change. I can start seeing the effects of all this money I'm making. Why not? My thing is, why not shift strategy? Why not do something different? Because you're bringing in the capital. Now you have an opportunity to invest, because I'm sure that, like you said, they're hobnobbing with people in different spaces now, realizing, oh, is that how you make money? Like, why not get into the more legit way? And I know some have, of course, the easy ease, flipped it, and kind of came out of the life. And like, I don't know if it was this episode or third episode, the guy was like, eventually you have to stop drug dealing. It's like, because if I'm really gonna make money in this music game, I gotta stop drug dealing. So flipping that mindset and doing something different. I think, and I feel you on being like victimized or exploited, but at the same time, I'm always with the choice thing. Like, you still got choices. You see what's happening, you see all the killing. Why not change then, instead of waiting to go to jail or waiting to get shot at?
Let me ask you this, AD.
Ask me.
What do you expect a lion to be that's in the Sahara Desert? In the savannah in southern Central Africa. Do you expect them to see a gazelle when he's hungry and not eat him?
I got you.
Like this, I understand everything you're saying, and I agree with it. But let me echo this.
Right.
We generally like to look at neighborhoods that we are not a part of, or people or segments of a nation that we don't necessarily, we can't empathize or sympathize with, and we ask questions of them that's kind of unfair. For instance, if you take O Block, Chicago gets a bad rap. South side of Chicago gets a bad rap.
Right.
But literally, not 2 miles down the street is your rivals, but across the street, literally in the buildings across the street, cats want to kill you every day.
Right.
You can't change anything thinking and action wise. Well, you can't change any actions without affecting change in the thoughts. Right. And the problem is, who's going to those neighborhoods to try to change what they see here to affect what they do here?
Right.
That's the problem. Like, we can have the philosophical conversations, and we could talk about everything we're talking about, which is amazing, but we have to get at root level. And root level is, these people live in areas that are literally jungles. Like, if anybody who says, let's start a civil war in America right now, here's the reality. Unless you can live your life like they live on 63rd and MLK in Chicago,
right.
Unless you're prepared to live life like that, you don't really want war. Right. Because walking outside and you can get shot by a 12-year-old, that's not our reality. So when we say we need to do A, B, and C, I'm not saying go live in there to get it, but until you can understand that lifestyle and why they behave, every animal, every person is literally subject to the environment that they're in. And I'll say this, I can tell your environment by the way we have conversation. I can tell Jay's environment by the way we have conversation. I can tell anybody from O Block. All you gotta do is listen to Chief Keef. I'm not telling you go listen to him, but just pull the lyrics. Pull the lyrics of King Von. I mean, Lil Durk, or anybody from any neighborhood that's considered disenfranchised or impoverished. We have to get to that level, because if you can't change that level, everything you're saying is only going to make sense to people who have come out of that level, or people who are trying to get out of that level.
Okay, so pause right there, though. So there have been those that have come out, right? There are those that have, balled their way out, rapped their way out, or even invested their way out. It seemed like he trying to get in, but it keep freezing on him. But so with that being said, why is it such a difficult thing to infuse that mindset back into the neighborhood? You know what I'm saying? And like I said, like we talked about before, and like you just said, no one wants to live. Like, I wouldn't want to live like, man, I don't know if this is going to be my last day. I don't know what's going to happen. Or even, don't stand by the windows. Like we can't relax by the windows because they'll start shooting, like we feel like we in Iraq, what they call it, Chirac, so, who wants to really live like that? I don't know. Like I hear you on it, because you're right. I've never had to live that way. Never in my life. My parents, where we grew up, praise God, I never had to live like that. Played outside, never had to fear that, never had to worry about that. So I can't totally relate, but my thing is, like, why do people can't come back and change that?
So I got two answers, but I don't know if you're gonna like it. Okay,
I probably won't, but it's all good.
So the first answer is, if you got rich doing the wrong thing, and and this people latched onto you, you financing your families, you financing friends, associates, whatever. You got rich doing the wrong things. A lot of people depending on you. You don't have any other skill, right? If I know how to do this, I don't have any other skill. It is my skill, right? So it's very difficult to relearn something else, and it might even cost you the money that you're already having to pay out for the people that you're taking care of to go to college or go do something to learn. The second thing is, I never like to take these conversations outside of the sphere of white supremacy. Don't think for a minute that you're not going to get a shady accountant. Don't think for a minute that somebody know, because think about it. If you rob a drug dealer, ain't no court for that. You can't go to court and be like, yo, I need my $1 million back. Right? No. They got you. So you got to see people. Like if it's something that goes down and it takes you away or messes up your team, somebody gonna come see you. So you got to go see people. And I think it's a different mentality that you can get trapped in. And that's kind of why I give a lot of credence to Bimmy and people like that who have taken their money and infused it into music industry, which is also highly unregulated, and we can talk about that too. But to put it into the music industry to make jobs for people that largely don't even like the music, right? They made jobs in industries and Fortune 500 companies. That is their attempt to try to clean it up. The last thing is, you can't just bring, like, it sounds bad, but when you go to a car dealership, and you come in with the cash up front, so people gonna have questions, right? You can't just come up in here, and you get the Maybach, and you like, oh, here go my 400,000. Like, no, people want to see credit, they want to see, a job, whatever, and you don't have that. So a lot of the businesses, and I'll just talk about Durham for a second. Durham was largely built on both Black businesses legitimate and Black businesses illegal, right?
Wow.
And the thing about it is those illegal black businesses were able to set up nightclubs, laundromats, gas stations, all things that regular people could work at. So when you talk about, well, what are you going to do? They need stuff that's going to have a fast turnaround and that's going to have a paper trail that will be clean, so that they can insulate themselves from the pressure that law enforcement is going to always put on. And I think, we've seen that HBO captured that with Stringer. Like Stringer was smart, but it was a white dude that was outsmarting him, right? Taking all his money, right? Sometimes you just know what you know and you ride it out until the day comes where either you taken out of here or the police come get you. Because at some point, it's going to fall apart, right?
Right.
And the other part that I was going to say, when Jay was given the three explanations, we see also what happens when you do try. Because Leach, he attempted. The man had several businesses, but everybody knew where the capital for those businesses was coming from.
Right.
So what happens? Oh, the FBI, they don't catch feelings about you, bro. There ain't no way you're gonna be able to legitimize any of this. And matter of fact, we're gonna take everything you did legitimize, and we're gonna absorb that too. Give me that too. Oh, you got houses over here for these poor people that ain't got no money. Oh yeah, those hours now. Get that up. We're gonna. Oh, you got scholarship funds for these dudes over here in Bankhead and out here in Detroit and 8 Mile. Oh yeah, we're gonna. So it's a lose-lose.
Right.
I mean, we forget in this country that the first gangsters wore suit and ties.
Right.
Like that. I want you to think about that right now.
Right.
Everything gangster. When you look at, I guarantee if you type in gangster life, gangster culture in America on Google, 75 to 80% of the. Matter of fact, let me do it. It's gonna be black,
black Latino. Yep.
But the first ones wore suit and ties.
Right.
There won't no hoodies.
Right. Powder wigs.
Right. Yeah. Like that's what the first gangsters wore. But why does it look like us when we see it?
Right.
Because he who has the gold makes the rules. And I think they came over, they had an agenda, they had a plan, and they executed it to perfection. And what they did was, even when their colonizing country told them, hey, y'all need to scale back, they said, bump y'all, we'll declare war on you, we'll be independent, and we'll make our own rules. And so my point is this: you can do whatever you want when you got the military and the guns and the resources to do it and set up your own thing. That's great. But at 13%, it gets a little tricky, right?
So all right, let me read these comments real quick. All right, so Cole says gangs started in good faith. It's just like the Black Panther Party. It was meant to promote unity within the community. However, because we are victims and the chains of economic oppression is in place, those gangs turn into opportunists and perpetrators. Glenda says blessings. He said we must be careful of the choices we make, for it can limit or expand our future options. Cole also said Superfly depicts the dynamic perfectly. Priest wanted to be like Jay-Z, get that last bit of money to begin living independently of society. And then there's Freddie. He loved the good life, and talking about getting out of the game was nonsense. Let's see. Oh, that's Terry J. Hamilton in the building. And Glenn said I'm a sex trafficking survivor and a former drug addict. And if I wanted to really change, I had to change my playgrounds and playmates and my environment. It was a matter of 3 choices: 1, be locked up; 2, be covered up; or 3, sober up. Nice. So we know that we've been victimized, exploited, and we've been on the side of perpetrators. But what about, so we are a great people. We've survived a whole lot, from slavery to becoming president of the United States. Why is it that we still have this looming the man mentality over us, and we can't shake it in order to become greater people, if that makes sense?
I mean, I think we are, though. I think when we know better, we do better, right?
Right.
So you look at like Black women, how many are college educated now as opposed to the 1950s, right? I think we're doing what we're supposed to do. The issue is that old habits are hard to break, and I can't tell somebody who I grew up with if they had their time in the street and they made money. They probably made more money than even me as a law professor make now. Right. It's hard for me to be like, hey man, put all that to the side, take out a loan, go to college. You know what I'm saying? Like, it's hard for me to do that because they're gonna look at me and they see, you got a regular car, you got a regular life, right? But I chose this. Like, I chose a regular life because I didn't want to be looking over my shoulder all the time. Right. And the only reason I chose that and I didn't want to look over my shoulder is because my father was never in my picture, but that was what he chose. And because of his choice, he wasn't in my life. So I don't want to create that same kind of standard. I know better, so I'm doing better. At the same time, I've been fortunate enough to see the 80s before crack, see the 80s after crack, and now to see where we are in 2021. And I'm nothing but optimistic. Like, I'm full of optimism for Black people because now I see Black people with businesses. I see Black people on the internet, getting all kinds of views and clicks, whatever. I see the three of us having a conversation about this in public and not worrying about reprisal, right? So I think we are progressing to a point where I want to say Black people have become more self-sufficient and not reliant on the government to fix the problems that government caused. We just started doing it ourselves through churches, through businesses, through 501c3s, whatever. We just said, okay, we're going to address a need. I applaud everybody. In Durham County, we have a group of both attorneys and a group of gangsters that come back into the community, come back to the schools and help the kids out, telling them either this is how you go to college or this is what you shouldn't do, right? This is why you shouldn't do it. And I think everybody coming together and trying to improve the community helps. The only setback that we're going to experience, and I think this is going to be constant, is economics. Like, I can come to the community and tell you how to do a million things, but if I don't have no money attached to it, you still got to figure out, all right, how I'm going to eat, how I'm going to get mama to safety. Like, I don't have an answer for you. My stuff is long term. Right. So it's hard to really lay out a game plan that fits all scenarios for Black America just because we're coming from different places. The main thing is I want to grow up, or I want kids to grow up in a society where they know that there are options. So when I was growing up, it was you better know how to hoop, you better know how to rap, you better slang something. Like that was your options. Now we know you could be an engineer. You can be a president. You've seen it on TV. You can do this. And now that we know that there are other options and we know that there's money tied to those options, even though it's a long-term investment, I think people now have less of an excuse to resort to, oh, I'm just going to be a gangster. Right.
And you say something that triggered something in me, Jay.
So where is he? He's having technical difficulties.
You said that you were talking about having the capital right now to do A, B, or C.
Right.
And what it reminded me of is farming, right? And we're going to take the principles of farming and apply it to life. In farming, you put a seed in the ground and it takes time. You have to nurture the area. You have to water it, sunlight, and then it has to grow, get to a place where the tree is mature enough to produce fruit. And then maybe years down the line, after you put that seed in the ground, you have a harvest, something you can eat from that can sustain you.
Right.
And then with that tree, you have multiple seeds that you can put in the ground that creates multiple trees that creates even a bigger harvest in the future.
Right.
The problem is most people got needs
today,
now, and all you have is a seed.
Right. I'm with you.
So the problem sometimes is what we're seeing now is the seeds that were planted in the 60s and the 70s. We're seeing that now. Martin Luther King's dream, Malcolm X's his struggle, and what you name that the entire list of people. You can name them. But this is their seeds at work.
Absolutely.
And what we want in society most times is what my mom called the microwave. She called us the microwave generation. Now we call it the millennials, the microwave generation.
Right.
But we would call that first. But we won't change right now. Right. And real change rarely happens right now. Like, think how long it took for slavery to be abolished. Mm-hmm. That change took 235 years.
I got you.
And so we have to understand it like this. When I was in Iraq, the first time I had a conversation with a Shia imam, he said, "This is the problem with Americans." No, the West. He said, "This is the problem with the West. You guys engage in a fight and hope to win in 5 years. Mm-hmm. We engage in a fight and we don't care if it takes 200 years." Mm-hmm. And that's our problem right now, because all of us won't change. And unfortunately, that's not how it works. You can spark a chain of events that can lead to something, and you can see some major leeway. But that change that we're looking for, it's not going to happen next year. It's not going to happen 10 years from now. It's going to happen if we stay consistent, but we got to put the seeds in the ground, and we got to make sure those seeds are watered.
So I'm gonna read these comments, and then I got a challenge. All right, let's see. Cole said, the man mentality situation is still in place. Stuff gets passed down from generations. Distress, hatred of non-Black people is heavily promoted. We are seeing the after effects of what the man has done to wreck our communities with the late 60s. The beauty about it all is that we can still rise above all that and create something concrete to last. Right. The one lesson we must learn is unity. The strongest cultural societies pool their resources and grow generational wealth because of it. We're going to talk about that. What I love is we have dreams like MLK and get it by any means necessary. We have to tap into the brilliance and ingenuity to tie both together. And Kalinda says, in order for me to change, I had to be willing to take actions that was blocking me from the sunlight of the spirit. So I got this. I got a scenario question challenge. All right. So with the way information flows, right? Right now, propaganda can flow instant. We can get on, and if we get on with separate videos saying the same thing, it begins to look like truth, right? Why is it? Because right now, let's throw slavery in it, right? Slavery was the law. It was what it was, and it took Congress, Senate, and the president to come together and abolish. They had to agree, change it, because of what they wanted. And we talk about leverage and exploitation. But with now, would you say it's more of a mental slavery? Like there is some levels of oppression. I mean, I don't give it. I know we say systematic racism, but I don't say systems as far as everything is so connected, because I don't feel like there is like one man, one big man and plan looming over us, and that they're that intelligent to keep us down like that. I believe maybe it's separate, like somebody connected to Jay that's white, that's like, you know what, Jay ain't gonna get but so high if I can help it. Like he's not gonna get but so many clients. He's not gonna become but so popular. Even in the same agenda, like I'm gonna be the king of keeping people from getting kicked out of their homes. Jay's not going to be the man. I saw him on TV. That's only going to be his one time. I'm going to make sure, my job, my goal is to make sure Jay don't blow up, but I do, and not as a Black man, but as a white man, I'm saying. Mm-hmm. And someone's trying to keep Dwayne from growing and just live streams. Oh man, he's too positive. He's preaching the same stuff I'm preaching. I got to keep him shut down, like in a separatist kind of way. So I believe there are separate, attacks, but no one big conspiratorial plan, if that makes sense. Okay. All right. So flow me there. My thing is, if we're in such a mental slave mentality, right? Why is it that we can't change the narrative, change the message, and begin to flood our communities with options and things like trade? Like a good trade will at least get you in a better financial footing. One, learning a trade doesn't take long. Usually a good 6 months, maybe a year, right? And for the most part, even when I was young, I could see a year. I remember talking to somebody about a business. He's like, if you're hanging this 20 years, you'll be a millionaire. I'm like, 20 years is a long time. Of course, hindsight, you're like, I should have hung in there 20 years. So it's if they could see a year, it's like, okay, if I go from nothing to a year, I can at least make $60,000. HVAC, fixing cars, something with my hand. Usually it's a hand kind of thing, or even learning to build an app. So I think if we can somehow shift the mentality, shift what we're thinking, and flood our timelines, flood the Instagram, with this information of becoming greater, I think things can change. Wouldn't you agree?
I agree. I think that's what we're doing now. I definitely agree. And I think, even more importantly, because I know a lot of people look at, like, let's say law, for example, and they say, I want to be an attorney because I want to be rich. I think what you need to do is you need to refocus. You need to be something because you know that there's a community need, right? So for me, being an evictions guy, there's not a lot of money in that. Like, people are, if they can't pay the rent, they likely can't pay you. But there's a community need. And at the end of the day, if you're the person that's always there that the community can rely on, then when times change over, or when, God forbid, something goes catastrophically wrong, then it's not just the community coming to you. It's going to be the people who don't know how these issues got so bad calling you. And that's what makes you popular. That's what brings in the revenue. I think, the beauty of trade jobs is that a trade job, one, you can treat it as a side hustle if you are somebody who says, I still want to go to college. Yeah, you can be a plumber and still go to college, right? You can pay for your college being a plumber. I think also people, because they're more reliant on technology now, are less educated on how stuff works. Like, when I was growing up, if something broke, you got to fix it. That's why we don't have money to pay for nobody to come up in here. You better learn. So now we've got, YouTube University, where you can learn how to do almost everything. And you can go out and have a skill that you take with you. Like my college roommate was a barber in college, not a licensed barber, but a barber, right? Because it can get you quick cash money, and you can make people look good, and they'll tell people about you or whatever. So the whole thing about it is you have to fill in a need that the community has, and understand that, yes, you should charge market rate for the services. Community also needs to know they should pay market rate. If the person's Black, please pay the market rate. But at the same time, like, we have to understand that for Blackness in America, it can't necessarily just be about the rat race. We certainly will have our Puffies and our Bob Johnsons and our people who are going to be able to fight those battles on that plane. But we got battles across the board that need to be fought. And I think that's exactly what we're doing now. We don't get the press for it because it's not popular in mainstream society to promote Black people helping other Black people. But that's happening with all these organizations, nonprofits, whatever, who are trying to teach people how to open businesses, teach people how to set up a trade, teach people how to do everything that we weren't taught to do. So I'm with you, AD, 100%.
Okay. And I had to write mine down.
You good?
No, but for some people it is a mental slavery, right? And then for others, it's still physical slavery. And I'm not even stretching. I'm not even making a stretch out of that. I'm talking about still it's legit physical slavery. The system is still the system. And I hate to make a Matrix reference, but it's some people took the blue pill, some people take the red pill. It's like for us in this, there are things I've known historically since I was in the 8th grade. And when I tell people about it, you want to know how far it gets? Like, in my neighborhood growing up, even as an adult, on all this, I mean, from MySpace to Facebook, now everything else they have. It was like, wow, I never knew that. You're smart. But that's the extent. You can give certain people some things and they look at you like you're smart, but that's it. It's like, what am I going to do with that? I mean, and the physical aspect of it, like the 13th Amendment still legally makes slavery okay. The word slavery. And this is right after it was abolished. So So the situation, technically, it's changed, but then it's not changed. Because going back to what Jay said earlier, when you define the criminals and what the criminals are,
Right.
you still got one system for those who are physically free. We still got a system to put you in that make you a slave again. And for those who are physically free and mentally ascended,
Right.
we got some systems for you too. So this is where I do agree with you, because this is where we do have to rise above and understand who we are. And I've read this several times, and you guys can go back and read it yourself. I'm just going to paraphrase it. The Mississippi Articles of Succession from America during the Civil War. And you can go back and look at South Carolina. You can look at Virginia's. You can look at Georgia, Alabama. They all going to say about the same thing.
Right.
But Mississippi called the black man the most sought after resource on the planet. And for this reason, because y'all don't want us to have this resource, which ties all our money into everything we do, we saying deuces to you.
Right.
We are worth going to war over. That's what I'm trying to say.
I got you.
So we got to see ourselves as being worth going to war over.
Right.
Not because we're in chains, but because of what we can do.
True. My main thing, and I hear what your point you're getting to. Let me see something real quick. This is Cole. He said the success of criminality is as follows: if your complexion for the protection, then you can do what you want without recompense. Yes, we've unfortunately seen that happen. He said he said high tech lynching is still in full effect. We have to be intelligent enough to know that exists and rebel with our success. I'm not sure if you guys can define high tech lynching, that'd be cool. There's different kinds of slavery. I was a slavery when I was a sex trafficking victim, and it started in the mind first, and I was brainwashed. So let me tell you, we all have children, and I've been teaching my kids, Black history and things of that nature. Me and my wife had a discussion. My daughter was doing a report on the four little girls. When teaching history, we want them to know what happened, but you don't want to fuel them with anger. Does that make sense? Because we was talking yesterday about watching like Malcolm X and watching the Black Messiah. You when you see it, it's just like what's gonna happen. You're hoping for a different ending, but you know what's gonna happen. But when you see it, it just especially see when the way Fred Hampton got it, you just like, oh, he was asleep. Like how so it fuels anger. And sometimes getting in that space, you can get a chip on your shoulder and you feel like the man is keeping you, or the man's not allowing you. Like for me, I grew up, and I tell everybody, I grew up all Black. My town was Black. I went to an all Black high school, all through schooling. I went to HBCU, like my life up until like 23, 24 was like Black, until I got a job. And then so I had this, this white man better not say the N-word. Like I really had this chip on my shoulder. My dad was from the South, born in Tennessee, Alabama, so the honky word was tossed around, and, he had some issues. He wasn't like hardcore, but, some of that I picked up. So with that in mind, I had a chip on my shoulder, and I didn't trust anybody that didn't look like me, and so going into the next generation, like, I don't want my children to be angry. I need them to know what has happened. I want them to be aware but not angry. Does that make sense? And I think because when you're angry, you feel like, anything that doesn't go right. If I go to an interview and I'm sitting on the other side of a white dude, I don't get the job, is because I'm Black. Like, I don't want my children to grow up like that, if that makes sense.
I understand completely what you're saying. Parents, what we want to do is shelter our children from everything negative and bad.
Oh.
We lost you.
Go ahead, Jay. You had something you want to add?
Yeah, I mean, I was just going to say, I think that for me, it's one of those things where you give them doses until they get old enough to be able to understand the scope. Right. But I don't know that the anger can be avoided. I feel like in order for my son to be properly prepared to deal with the world that he's going to have to inherit, he needs to understand like what the reality of it is. Now that doesn't mean I'm gonna dump it on him at 8 years old, right? But at the same time, like I gotta give you doses so that by the time you get to be 16 and you get that driver's license, you know why you need to navigate in a certain way, or you know what the dangers are, right?
That's true too.
And then when you become an adult, you can make decisions as to how defiant or non-defiant you want to be, whatever you feel like is best for you. But it's always a difficult conversation that all Black people have to have with their kids when you're operating in America, because you don't know. And the hard part is, as a parent, we definitely want to protect our kids. We want our kids to grow up and be innocent and happy. But your Black kid that you see as the sweet, innocent soul is going to be some white officer or some white person's evil, demonic adult, right? So we know, and we have to make sure that we're preparing them for the world that they're getting ready to enter.
Yeah, now that I think from when my connection came back, we're saying pretty much the same thing. I think that we can't shelter them. I think you got to give them the unadulterated truth, because when you don't give them the unadulterated truth, unadulterated lie can seem like a beautiful thing to them. When you take a whole lot of truth and sprinkle it with just enough lie, it makes them, it doesn't prepare you, cripple them for the world. Like if you know that the devil got, I'm just making up a scenario, if the devil got 6 arms and you got to fight him physically, but you was always told, oh, he's just a man, you can't. No, that's a bad example. I don't want nobody to say I'm giving it. if you know that women from certain neighborhoods, because of who the parents of those women were, operate like, hey, I'm gonna love on you and treat you like you the best thing, but my only intent is to get your money. And if you teach men, your young son, that all women are the most beautiful thing that God's ever created, and there's no evil ones out there, and you don't tell them, they're gonna see warning sign after warning sign after warning sign after warning sign, and then they're gonna be broken because they wasn't properly equipped. So I think even though it's rough, you got to give them. But I think here's what the counterbalance, right? You got a relationship with white people, right?
Okay, appreciate you, Jay.
All right, I got to roll, man. But
yes, sir.
I love all the conversation, man. Thank y'all for the opportunity.
Yes, sir. Be easy,
no worries, man. Take care.
But you got relationship with white men and women, right, AD?
Yes. Yeah.
And your children see your relationship. So even though you tell them the truth, they get a chance to see that, hey, this is still not everybody. So although I may approach every situation this way, I still give room for the person that I'm interacting with. But I'm not ignorant to what it could be, if that makes any sense.
True. Okay. And I'm making faces. All right. So I got my text feature going, and someone has responded in the text. They said, and I wish they had their name up there, but they said thousands of years of slavery and oppression. It's not a system. It's individuals. It's individuals. What do you say to that? I mean, go ahead.
It is. You're right and you're wrong. It's individual. It started as a system.
Yes.
And it continued as a system with individuals within the system. But until those individuals tear the system down, the system still stands.
True.
And here's case in point. When unarmed Black men are murdered by white police officers and there's no consequence, that states that the system is still alive and well. And so until individuals tear down that part of the system, it's still a system there. It is a system that's comprised of individuals. And not every individual is going to, Muhammad Ali said it best. Muhammad Ali, he said, if there's 10,000 snakes heading towards me,
right,
and 1,000 of those snakes, and he was like, and these he's like 1,000 of these snakes don't want to hurt me, don't want to kill me.
right.
He was like, but the other 9,000 do. He was like, what am I supposed to do? Trust that these 1,000 snakes that don't want to hurt me are going to protect me from the 9,000 that do? Not until you show me. So yeah, individuals, you gotta rise to the occasion too.
Nice. Definitely. I think, and it's always a personal responsibility. There's a personal responsibility. And if you're here, let us know. Put it in the comment. I'm not sure if you just comment based on the text I sent out. So let me know. I'm a little new to it, so just let me know. Let me read some of these comments. Just read that one. I did that one. It said, Cole said, my father gave Black history to me literally strict with no chaser. It took my mother for me to not be filled with anger. Learning all this stuff can give anyone, this stuff can give anyone, right? That anger. What I believe we have to do is live what Fred Hampton said. You can kill a revolutionary, but you cannot kill the revolution. We have to constantly teach our fight is continual, ongoing, ultimately in triumph. True. Clinda says, in order for me to break free from defining myself to the old narrative and create my new narrative, because I am a new creature in Christ, I had to change my mindset because mine was created in my mind first. Nice. In order, I'm not an African American. I am a white woman, yet I never got white privilege due to being a sex trafficker survivor. I relate to the Black community. Interesting. And to your 10,000 snakes, Ali anecdote, Dwayne, the other side looks like Billy Crystal became a lifelong friend of the champ. Interesting.
Right. Absolutely.
Interesting. So my main reason for a lot of these conversations is just because a lot of how we love community, how we look at the responsibilities of others, and love Jay, kind of being on the twist, kind of defending the criminal to give you context and understanding. I do believe, in my mind, I wish they would have franchised something else. Like instead of the drug game, found a way to franchise, took that same channels and franchised something else.
You take what you got.
Right? There's something else with it. Watching this documentary, if you've not seen it, it's still on FX. I think they had part 3 or 4. It's really deep, and you learn a lot about the different beefs that were public, and it's really interesting, the whole underbelly of the rap game. And it's been eye-opening. So definitely check it out. Also, make sure you have joined our text community, 84576, 84576. Text brothers to 84576. My podcast people, are you listening? Text brothers to 84576. Be a part of this conversation. And then you get a notification. You can actually be here live with us.
You got to get your boy to sing a jangle to that. Let me get grammatically correct. You have to get your friend, the singer, to make a jingle to that.
A jangle. So my goal is to kind of to shift our community with these conversations and shift our mindset and come up with some new ideas and new ways to change some things. And it's hard to see 200 years.
It is.
It's hard to see 200 years. So I can only operate in my 5 to 10, like make this thing change in 5 to 10 years, if
the
not
way
quicker.
You're operating, sir, is you're not looking for the end all be all.
Right.
And you're part of the race is 5 to 10.
Right.
This is the part that you're trying to affect. So let's just change the way we look at it. You're 5 to 10 here.
That's my baton.
That's
somebody gonna grab it up.
Yeah, here you go, brother. I got this section right here. I'm gonna hold it down because, like, the question today is simple. It's my life story, and I think it becomes all of our life story. My life story. I started out as a victim. Because I was victimized, I became a perpetrator, and in me being a perpetrator, I found Christ. and I was able to become an opportunist. So instead of it being a question, I think it's more of a progression.
Right. Definitely. All right, guys. So we appreciate you. Thank you for rocking with us. Like I said, join our text community, and let me know, throw questions in there as well. And I love it. I love it. I love it. I wasn't sure if it was going to work, but now I know it does.
Yeah.
So text brothers to 84576. And we look forward to seeing you tomorrow. What's tomorrow? Thursday. My brother Terry will be here. Pastor may be in the building, but I know Dwayne and us, we'll be holding it down. They said, my pimp drilled into my head once, a hole, always a hole, and you can't make a hole into a housewife. I rebuke that in the name of Jesus. In Jesus' name, and the devil's a lie. Indeed. Yes, indeed. You can always shift your mindset and become better. All right, guys. So we look forward to talking to you tomorrow. Same place, same channel. Make sure you stay safe. This is a gentleman be a blessing. Okay. Love you as well, Cole. Appreciate you. And we look forward to seeing you guys in the AM. Peace out. Oh, wait. Always know we love you, but God loves you more. Yes, indeed. Take care. I didn't want to catch that. Good morning. Welcome to another edition. Good morning, everybody.